Listo.
A girl threw an egg in a parachute that had a height of 1.5 meters and a time of 1.727 seconds. And we have the initial velocity, which is 0, and we gotta find the final velocity. So the formula for the final velocity is this one. Final velocity is equal to initial velocity plus acceleration times time. Now we gotta substitute with the values that we have. So final velocity is equal to initial velocity, which is 0, plus acceleration. You know, acceleration is equal to gravity, so it is 9.8 meters per second times the time, which is 1.27 seconds, and the result for that is equal to 12.44 meters per second. So a kid threw the ball and it had a height of 0.53 meters, the time was 0.33 seconds, and the distance that it reached was 0.80 meters. And we gotta find the velocity. And the formula for the velocity is velocity equals distance over time. Now we gotta substitute, and velocity is equal to 0.80 over 0.33, and the result is 2.42 meters per square, and that is the velocity. And we gotta find the velocity, the initial velocity of x, and that is velocity on x is equal to velocity times cosine times the grade. Now, and then we substitute, which is equal to velocity 2.42 times cosine times the grade, which is 0 grades, because it's at this way and we got 0 grades, and the result for that is 2.42 meters per second. Now that we know what the velocity of x is, which is 2.42 meters per second, now we can get the x, which is, now we have it, but just to be sure, and the formula is x equals initial velocity on x times the time, and substituting it, it is 0.33 times 2.42, and the result is 0.8 meters. And that's it. Since we only need the initial velocity on the y, we gotta pass this to the other side, and that will be final velocity to the y minus acceleration over time, it's equal to initial velocity on the y. And substituting the values, that will be 0, because the final velocity is equal to 0, minus the acceleration, and that would be minus 9.8 over the time, which is 2 seconds. And the initial velocity would be 4.9 meters per second. Now we gotta find the maximum altitude, and the formula for that would be h is equal to initial velocity sine the decrease all by the square over 2 times gravity. Substituting the values, that will be 4.9 sine of 80 all to the square over 2 times 9.8. And the result, that will be 1.18 meters. So this value is the maximum altitude, and this one is the initial velocity. Now we gotta find the range, and the formula for the range is final of the x equals x initial plus velocity on the initial x times the time. But we don't have this one, the initial on the x, and this one we don't have it, but we can get it. Now to find the initial on the x, we gotta find the velocity, but we don't have the velocity, so we are gonna find, since we have the final velocity on the y, we can substitute some of those. We can substitute the values on this formula, which is on the y, it's equal to velocity sine of 80, and the velocity on the y is 4.9 equals velocity sine 80. We gotta pass this one to the other side, and that would be 4.9 over sine of 80, which is equal to 4.97 meters per second. This one is the velocity. Since now we have the velocity, we can find the initial of x, which will be initial of x is equal to velocity cosine of 80, and substituting that will be 4.97 cosine of 80, and the result will be 0.86 meters per second. So now we have the initial of x. We can find the final of x. So this is the velocity initial on x. Sorry, my mistake. So we have the formula of final of x, which would be this one. But now substituting, it would be 0 plus the value we just got, which is 4.97 multiplying the time, which will be 2 seconds, and the value of that is 1.72 meters. And that's it.